This year's art journey has been the best one for me. It was the year that I thought for the first time that, you know what, my art is actually not that bad and I can actually make it work. And maybe there's some hope for me after all. But how did it all happen? So by end of 2022, my art was okay. My skills were relatively okay. I knew some of the fundamentals and I could, replicate some drawings really well, but I wasn't very consistent. As soon as I would try to change something, I would struggle a bit. My biggest weaknesses were color, composition, and dynamic figures. So when I started 2023, I had a goal of trying to do art for about 450 hours in the year. So that is about 9 hours a week. With a full-time job, trying to dedicate 9 hours a week seemed reasonable for me and where I am with my life. So now, did I do art 9 hours a week every week? For sure, no. Some weeks I had more time and energy and I would do a lot more than 9 hours, and other weeks where it was just much less. Life comes in the way, sometimes in good and bad ways, that stops us from putting in the time. You go on vacation, people visit, family visit, that's completely fine. Some weeks, I just got sick or had no energy for drawing, and maybe I was burnt out sometimes, but the important thing was to know that it's okay to take a break and then know that you can get back to it later. I think taking these breaks is actually helpful so that you don't burn out. So let's talk about some of the courses that I've done this year. So the first thing that I wanted to focus on was figure drawing and anatomy. So I signed up for 2 of Proko's figure drawing courses, the fundamental one and then the one that focuses on the anatomy. And I did this for a while to try and learn it. This course was really good because it really takes you in all the steps to try and do gesture and then construction in the first course. And I think that part is actually a lot more important than learning the anatomy itself. Doing that and understanding that and how to simplify shapes first is a lot more important than learning the details of the anatomy. And I tried to focus on that a bit, and then I moved on to anatomy and started learning the different parts of the body and learning how to draw them. And these 2 courses really helped me improve my, figure drawing skills and understand how to draw different angles and different poses. And then I felt a little bit more comfortable with this, although there's still a lot to learn, especially when it comes to foreshortening. There's so much to learn there and understand how things would look like. These 2 figure drawing courses were very good, and I highly recommend doing the fundamental one. It is far more important than doing the detailed anatomy course, because once you know the fundamentals, it will be a lot easier to do the anatomy itself. And I can tell you that there's so much to learn with anatomy, and I was just so overwhelmed with it. So for me, and I think this could be good advice, is to remember that learning anatomy fully doesn't have to happen over 1 month or 2 months. As I'm doing it right now, I got a general idea, so I kind of have the basics figured out, and then slowly learning more details over time. Then later in the summer, I got Coloso's 3-pack course, and it had courses from 3 different artists. One of them was Creating Complete Dynamic and Stylish Character by Sang-Mo Hyu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then the other one, the second course was by Gatan, 5 Steps to Master the Core Principles of Light and Coloring. And then the last one was by Eric Note, which is realistic character art in a traditional painting style. So I haven't actually finished all 3. I did the first one, Creating Complete Dynamic and Stylish Characters, and I did half of the lighting and coloring one, and then I still have to finish it and then move to the last one to try and finish this course as well. I just got tired from watching and following it in Korean, and it became a bit of a struggle after a while. Just studying all the time can be tiring, and that's really why I think I didn't finish all the courses, because there's just so much to learn and watch. But I think I just need to take a break and do other stuff, and then I can get back to it and finish all these lessons as well. It took me a while to do these. There's actually a lot involved in their courses, and there's so much. If you don't know anything about Coloso's website or art programs, they're actually not in English. Most of them are in Korean, but then they have English subtitles. So I spend lots of time, looking at those videos and following along and practicing with them to understand. So the first few things that the course goes into was actually a figure drawing, and I really liked their approach to figure drawing. And I spent lots of time adding to what I knew from Proko and using their process to enhance my figure drawing skills even more. And I really like the way they did it. I also really learned a lot from the Coloso course. Even though I haven't finished it yet, the only downside is that it's not in English and they are a bit pricier than other courses, but I do recommend it because the course that I did really goes into details and shows every little step that I need to do to learn from them. So these were really the two courses that I did this year. I did also a mentorship program, and I'll talk about that later on. But then one of the other things that I thought I would do this year was study from other artists and really try and learn from them and understand how they do it. So I did a few different studies from a few different artists. I did a study from Guiz, Wolop, Sam Does Art, Ross Draws, Louis, Nixu, and I also did a painting from Kayuza Takahashi, which is one of the artists from Final Fantasy 16. And I really enjoy doing these things because understanding different artists and how they do their paintings is really good to improve and learn new tricks and tips on how to do things. And luckily, some of these artists also post videos on YouTube all the time, and I would go watch them and learn from them. For example, Wolop and Sam Does Art and Ross Draws always have paintings or tutorials on YouTube showing how they do their paintings. I think the most challenging style for me was Loisha's style. The stylization and the use of color is just amazing. And it took me a while to try and figure it out and replicate it. I tried multiple times, I failed a few times until I was able to kind of figure it out a bit and do something that's similar. And one of the things that I really learned from them is that things don't have to be that complicated. You know, we all think about brushes, what brush to use, what brush not to use. And when I was watching them, most of them just used a round brush. And it really was interesting for me to see that, you know, brushes don't really matter. It's really how we use them into our painting to get the result that we want. Studying from other artists was one of the things that really improved my art fast. I think if you have the basic understanding of the fundamentals, then studying from other artists can really take your art to the next level very quickly. I learned so many little tricks by watching and studying their process and learn from their style. So the next thing that really had a big impact on my art this year was, the Spiderverse movie, and I'm sure it had a huge impact for everyone. After I went and watched that movie, I was really inspired, and I even did an analysis of what I observed from the art style and what I really liked from them, and really knowing how they do it and looking at it and studying it has taught me a lot. Although my style is very different than the Spider-Verse movie style, but I still like to see the art and I still like to, understand it and learn from it. Doing these two paintings from the Spider-Verse, I just failed over and over and over again because I just couldn't understand how to simplify. It's actually pretty difficult to simplify things in these styles to make it work. It's easy to simplify, but then it might not look good or appealing or exciting. But knowing how to simplify and make it exciting was the challenge. But I think with patience and just multiple attempts, I was able to do something that is a bit similar to the style. So then after I did that, I thought that was a really fun thing to do, doing an analysis of an art style. So I wanted to do one for League of Legends. So League of Legends art style is something that is more towards what I like to draw. So doing an analysis on the style was actually lots of fun to do. I went really into, different composition, different things that they do with values and colors and how they really do everything together and bring it together into this one amazing painting that they do. And really one of the goals that I had for myself after doing that analysis was to try and do a splash art before the end of the year. And I really made it a goal, and I really was working towards it to, improve my art bit by bit to get to that point where I can do that. The last thing that I did this year was doing a mentorship program with Xiao, which has been very, very useful for me. Any of those courses that I have done in the past never had a feedback portion. I've always done courses that were, just online, pre-recorded. I would watch them and I would try and learn from it and implement it into my own drawing and painting. And I never really had, a feedback on whether what I'm doing is correct or how I can improve what I'm doing much faster. And towards September, I really felt stuck with my art. I didn't really know how to move forward or what I need to do to take my art to the next level. So that is why I decided to look into a mentorship program. So with Xiao, we took a look at portraits first. We really focused on League of Legends style, and we did this portrait together. So I wanted to do a portrait of Zaya, and we worked together. I did it first, and then I brought it back to one of our one-on-one sessions, and she took a look at it and critiqued it and provided feedback on what I need to do to improve it. And I went back and took some of the advice that I received and I implemented and applied it and improved the painting. Then the next thing what we wanted to do was a big one, was to do a full splash art painting. So I decided to choose Karma because I really like her design. So the idea was to do a ruined Karma splash art. So I will have a video explaining the full process of doing this splash art. But the process generally was lots of fun and exciting for me because with the help of Xiao, I was able to do this full illustration and go through the steps that I need to do a full-on splash art. So doing the mentorship program, we would go through the different steps. So the first time we did the thumbnails, and then we went back, reviewed the thumbnails, improved them a bit, picked the best one. Then we did the value pass. I went back and did it on my own. Then we came together, reviewed it, improved it, went back, added colors, again, reviewed it. And then at the end, we came up with, going back and forth a few sessions to finally do this painting and finish it. And really to finish it off, I wanted to, show some of my favorite paintings from this year. And looking at how much I've improved from even the beginning of this year to the end of this year, I can see that with consistency and commitment and really putting the time and learning and practicing, the improvements will come. And I really hope you can also take the time and look back at your own journey and, don't be too hard on yourself and see really the improvements that you've done this year. And knowing that, improvement, although might be slow, but when we step back and we take a look at a full year, we can really see how much we have improved. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.